The lonely survivors after the darkening of the sun in the immortal world of the world's over. The same one that Jane and the others who I write of exist within. I woke from a reverie. There in the windowsill of the 10th floor apartment sat the form of my lover. We haven't bothered to leave like so many others when the bombing began. Both of us had long ago given over to the fear of the moment, to merely being alive. But now it could not even be said the true of either of us. She was but a mannequin of her former glory, the beautiful fleet queen that held captive the sails of my soul, and the winds of her breath were held in her eyes as the sea is the tempest of waves of green over gray that reflected the beauty of the vampire that I could not see. And out of the skeletal form that sat motionless in the sun as it streamed in through the window, the glass and the rain-stained brick form in a building overlooking the ancient hilltop necropolis. From the highest point, one could see the entire city and the surrounds of the distant hills of the Greenbelt far below, and the Clyde River far off in the distance. Every day she sat there, waiting for the return of something she never wanted in life, but in death, the desire had become overwhelming. This was the birth of blood, something that could never be, the generation of a soul between her and I. We hadn't even been able to have a child in life. We both saw this as a good thing, since neither of us really had the time, and we were mending in a world that was so broken. It was infirm to the deaf, the stricken, the cancer, and the myriad of genetic deformities of the mind that now lay decrepit about us, invisible, because everyone had left, and whoever was left over was a mere husk of whatever it was that changed them. Some say it was magic, some say it was the chemicals of war. So it began that this is the end, and we bound ourselves to the dying planet. We conceived, and it was to be a girl. 4 months along, and none of the check-ups had shown any signs of complication, save the ones that the world was dealing with outside our apartment, where my offices had been transformed into a beautiful white baby's room. She would sleep beside us until it would become of use. And the time of 2 was terrible. If she ever reached that age, I had moved all my creative production tools and bins of oddities of digital technology and cords and the writing desk that sat my World of Warcraft mouse, the geeky, quirky imagination of the awe-inspiring inventions that lay all about me, wherein my beautiful maiden, my partner, my wife, she sat face to face in our laptops. We wrote, and the world together became something between us, and it stirred beneath, and the earth and the oceans. There became a flood of emotion as the polar ice caps began to melt away. And it was said to be the beginning of the war, and the magic waylaid the universe. It was then when the war began, and mankind lost its marbles to the vengeance of the mending, and it stopped, and darkness reigned. The silent penumbra spread over the land like a plague, even before the clouds of ash and destruction accumulated above the apartment because of the bombardments on our city that took place. It only lasted a few days. Then, the whole world went silent. The television had no broadcasted channels. The radio lost all waves over the air. The streets were littered with silent people who would be corpses. Though I never checked, it didn't matter anyhow. I was a corpse, and yet I was still able to write, and I survived as a ghost, not ethereal, but a lich. Somehow, whoever I was and whoever we were, my soul came back, and I was trapped in this husk as I decay upon the earth. I don't even know where my maiden goes when she leaves her body and floats out that window. The sill is left, sits there and it remains, and her ghost floats, and her shell is an unimaginable, beautiful thing that I revive, and I wake to defend with every moment and every breath that I don't ever breathe anymore, and my heart doesn't even pulse, but I know that love is true, and I imagine that she has trained her soul to truly act as a spirit, an ethereal to the eyes being that's lost in mankind, searching the streets of our city, even through the hops of the hill, wherein the spirit of our child is lost. This is a dream. It's a dream of truth and beauty. That she comes back with both. And our child, however much it goes, will be one with us. And with you, will tell a new story in a world where magic is true, and the undead of a new kind of glory, in the respect of the immortal races, when the war is over, and peace will cross the land. Often she doesn't come back for weeks at a time. It is then, I think, that she delves into the darkness below the hill, into the necropolis, into the darkness, wherein resides all manner of hideous demons and spirits, risking her own soul for rifted love, fighting and fleeing from banshees, Valkyrie, and all manner of undead, from wraith to right, from reverent to zombie, and even someone like me, a vampire. The last we both would become. We don't suck blood, for there is no one left, save those lying on the streets, who are intoxicated by hibernation so deep that we can't even touch them without being moved by the magic that keeps them sedated there in the streets, as if it were a mansion, the most beautiful on earth, and their hollow chests they breathe, but it is idle, almost to lay bare. And someday I'll fly along beside my maiden, hand in hand we'd seek into the darkness beyond the world's end, but I believe she needs me here to protect her still form. And lo, we are slowly decaying. This is her reason. I am her reason for coming back when she needs me. And this is the beautiful story of the undead love of so many that exist in the world today, where magic is in the worlds over and beyond. The journal entries of Jane. This is a man speaking from the eyes of the ocean tide, holds my soul transfixed. Her beauty is like none other. She is my goddess, my queen, and I will wait until she comes back and wakes once again. We will walk hand in hand around our apartment and stare out that window, hoping to find someday a soul that is lost. Earnest anticipation of